this is preseason, but I'm so fired up. Two teams heading into the season with different approaches. The Bombers, very few changes, running it back, trying to make it to a fourth consecutive Grey Cup. Offensive overhaul on the other side of the ball for the Riders.
Well, yeah, big free agent signing for the Saskatchewan Roughriders when they signed former Montreal Alouette, former Edmonton Elk, starting quarterback Trevor Harris. Only 3 quarterbacks last year threw for over 4,000 yards in the Canadian Football League. He was one of them. Zach Collaros, another. McLeod Bethel Thompson, the third. Harris, now a Saskatchewan Roughrider. And the freak of nature is back for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers off the edge. Willie Jefferson returns for another season extended. He'll chase around Trevor Harris for at least a quarter, maybe more, here tonight.
That's probably enough, right? He's 32 years old now. Preseason action, but he's out there, and he will start this game on defense for the Bombers. The Riders last season 3-6 at home, 3-6 on the road, and the road is where they wrap up the preseason tonight. We are underway at IG Field, and this will be taken by Cole just inside his own 20, back up to the 30, and taken down heavily around the 35, and that is where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense will get to start tonight.
Yeah, so I mentioned Zach Collaros, who's on the sideline, not dressed. He won't play tonight. Drew Brown will start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, starting quarterback here tonight. Started against the BC Lions last year, threw for over 300 yards in that game. Of course, the Bombers, with their great regular season, had wrapped up first place in the division by October, beginning of October.
Managed to mix him in a little bit after that. Actually, in week 1 last year, he had 3 for 3 on the fourth quarter to lead them to a win there. They'll hand it off to Johnny Augustine. A push ahead just outside the 40 with the first offensive play of the ball game.
Yeah, so this is an interesting game, a different game. The preseason obviously doesn't count in the standings, but it's very important for a whole bunch of players here. A lot of the veterans are trying to get through this game, get some timing down, get ready for the regular season. But 30 guys from each of these teams will be cut after this game. They're not going to make it. Their football journey stops, at least for now.
Huge opportunity, lots to prove tonight. Brown, time in the pocket, gets it away, and that is completed to Wolotarski, and that'll be a first down just shy of the Bomber 50.
Wolotarski, one of the starters for the Bombers, who will get the start here tonight. Nice little smooth cut. And this is the timing I'm talking about, to clear through the linebackers and get outside of Micah Tights, who's back in the lineup for Saskatchewan after an injured couple years, but good timing there on that throw.
Short pickup on the first down. Revis with the tackle for the Riders.
Yeah, there's Micah Tights, and back in 21, that injury and lost a season and just flying around in training camp. A guy is back in the lineup, starting that linebacker spot. Expect a huge season out of the former outstanding Canadian nominee back in 21.
Made the first 2 tackles of the game here tonight, and he watches on as Brown takes this snap. 2nd and 9. And an opportunity at the end of the play there for Marshall, who has an interception for a touchdown in every season of his career. But boy, Tights might want another crack at that one.
Yeah, it won't be on Drew Brown. It wouldn't have been anyway, because this was a good throw out to the flat. Just a little inside cut by Augustine, went right through his hands, and a couple of riders had a shot at it. Tights was one. He's surprised by it. Doesn't get the hands there in time. He was going to the hit, but Nick Marshall had a chance at it too.
This will be booted away from the 40 by Leggio. Towering kick that will fly out of bounds just inside the Rider 20, and that is where Trevor Harris gets to start his career as the Riders quarterback.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk quarterbacks to start this season in a big way. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a year where the veteran guys, the star quarterbacks in our league, have switched teams. Bull Levi Mitchell now Hamilton Tiger Cat, not in Calgary. Jake Mayer starts there. Former Montreal Alouette Trevor Harris now in Saskatchewan. Vernon Adams had a big night last night, but Dane Evans is his backup. Yeah. Lots of movement at the quarterback position this year, and a couple of young guys that are trying to find their way and get in the top group.
Cornelius, Kelly, Jake Mayer, obviously, who took over for Bo Levi Mitchell last year, but heads into his first season as the guy with the Calgary Stampeders as well. So yeah, quarterback talking points across the league. And talking about quarterbacks is never bad for discussion, right? Like it's the best thing to discuss. So Trevor Harris, I asked Coach Dickinson this week about how is Harris handling being the quarterback of the Riders, and he said he thinks he's made for it. Like he thinks he has the makeup to handle this perfectly.
Yeah, by all accounts, he has been outstanding, both on the field and off. You know, went back home with the birth of another child. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but he has been nothing but a great leader for this team early on.
Starts with a completion to Winnipeg, who comes over from Montreal as well, and that'll be enough for a first down.
But he's got such a great completion percentage. He's got one of his former Montreal Alouette receivers with him, and Jake Winnipeg. Got a very different looking core. Darrell Walker's part of that new group in Saskatchewan.
Harris familiar with Winnipeg, familiar with Walker as well. Has been a teammate in the past. This time they'll hand it off, trying to find some room and kick it to the outside was Jamal Morrow. The Bombers do a good job stringing that thing out and containing him.
But, you know, Trevor Harris, and I know some people in Saskatchewan aren't quite sure yet. You know, they want to see it. They want to see if he can take them back to the Grey Cup, get them back in the big game. And when you look at 15 starts last year in Montreal and throwing for over 4,000 and his completion percentage, he certainly can get it done.
Completion percentage always through the roof with 7 in white back there. 3 options to his wide side left. Looks that way, steps up, down the middle, and that is complete. Takes them over midfield as he drops it into the former Calgary Stampeder, Sean Bain Jr.
He's got a new offensive coordinator in Kelly Jeffrey. They're collaborating, working together. Changes on the old line. That was an issue last year. He goes through his progressions here, and the veteran goes to the third option, and that's Bain right in the seam.
Nice job by Bain, making sure he scooped that up, looking for more opportunity here with the Riders than he had with the Calgary Stampeders. They'll hand this one off. Big burst right up the middle, trying for that first down, and it will be awfully close as they go back to Jamal Morrow. And such a strength in this offense was the run game last year.
Yeah, Morrow emerged in a big way and finished in the top 5 rushing. You're going to see as many as the veterans as the Riders have traveled. They'll be on the field when Trevor Harris is on the field, protection-wise, first and foremost.
Dave Patterson into the game, short yardage situation, and a nice push from the offensive line, and that's a no-doubter. That'll be a fresh set of downs for the Riders.
Well, you talked about Trevor Harris's completion percentage, and there's a look at the top 20 all-time passers in yards in the Canadian Football League's over 100-year history. He has the best completion percentage of that group. And there are some big names on that board.
Stops in Toronto, Ottawa, Edmonton, and Montreal. And eventually here now with the Riders. Hands it off to Hickson. Good burst through the first hole, but Gauthier.
I see you.
Hammered him down.
I see you, Gauthier. There you go.
That gets Hickson into the preseason, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you know, Adam Big Hill is not dressed tonight. He's going to be the leader of this defense among other leaders in the group, but that's a pretty good play right there in the hole from Shane Gauthier. Hickson got a few, but also took a hit.
Gauthier in his 7th year with the Bombers. 2nd and long for Harris. Bombers bring pressure. Harris down the far side, drops it in there for Walker, and he hangs on, taken down just shy of the end zone. Darrell Walker connects on a big one.
Well, This is the veteran in Trevor Harris who's going to recognize pressure. He knows the Bombers aren't even, they're not hiding it. They're going to come with full pressure. He's got to get the ball out of his hands because he doesn't have enough to block them all. So he gets it out there, and now it's just about the accuracy of the throw because the coverage isn't bad. But this is just a beautiful, accurate throw up over the outside shoulder.
Demario Houston working there against Walker, but a well-placed ball from Trevor Harris, and now the Riders knocking on the door. First and goal from the Bomber 3. Harris hands it off. Wrapped up and taken down is Jamal Morrow for a loss on the play.
Well, this was one of the top defenses, not the top defense in the league. It certainly was with points allowed. So even though they've given up some yards here in that big one to Darrell Walker on the blitz, you're going to have to work at it to get across that goal line.
Cameron Lawson with the tackle for a loss of 2. We'll try it again from the 5 this time. Harris with 3 options. Wide side right. Morrow stands in. Now flares out to the left. Harris with time. Drops it off to Walker. Touchdown. Darrell Walker to the end zone. And the Riders strike first.
Well, you know Craig Dickinson wants to get Trevor Harris in a rhythm. That's what the panel talked about before the game. And boy, what a great drive to get this game started. Get your starter in there. He's getting back and familiar with Darrell Walker, both reading the same things on 2 big plays. The blitz pickup for the deep one, and now the touchdown throw. It's a big season for Darrell Walker.
Big opportunity to come in here and be one of the go-to guys. Tough year, tough stay in his second stint around in Edmonton. Trevor Harris, 4 of 4 for 62 yards and a touchdown on that drive. Walker with the extra point, and that is wide right. Misses it. So they will have to settle for 6, courtesy Darrell Walker. Trevor Harris, a nice first impression with the Riders.
For Saskatchewan fans, their starting quarterback, their new free agent acquisition, goes 9 plays, 83 yards, takes 5 minutes, 23 seconds off the clock, and hits Darrell Walker on a big one down the sideline, and then a couple plays later across the middle for the touchdown. 4 for 4 for Trevor Harris.
The new quarterback connecting with all 3 of the new receivers as well. Winnipeg, Bain, and Walker all involved in that first drive. Kind of a dream start for that new group. This will be taken just inside the 25 by Cole. Flag on the play as he gets it to the near side of the field. He's got a little bit of room, midfield and more, all the way down to the 40 before eventually taken out of bounds. We will sort out that flag when we return to IG Field in Winnipeg. Wiped out here.
Yeah, you're going to make, if you're a young player in this game or in any preseason game, you're going to make the team on the special teams. And Veltre right there, a rookie for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, gets the holding call, takes that big return off the board. But you got to give credit to coverman Clemens, again a rookie who drew the penalty.
Veltre, OUA, second team in 22. Wolotarski near side, waits for that ball, it arrives, and he's immediately wrapped up by Henderson, but he hauls it in for a decent pickup on first down.
Bombers are going with, obviously, Drew Brown, and we will not see Zach Collaros tonight. Tyrell Pigram may play later in this game. Again, no Nick Dembski in the lineup. There's your MOP, back-to-back MOP.
Looking for the three-peat among MOPs. Got the weapons, no doubt about that. Now this will be handed off to Augustine, and a pretty good push. Some help from that offensive line gets them up to where they needed to be, and that'll be a first down for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and this isn't the starting offensive line. The Bombers will start next week. Game 1 of the regular season. I mean, there's a couple of veterans in there. Liam Dobson will play there, and Jeff Gray, but a bunch of the starters for the Bombers not dressed tonight. They know what they can do.
Brown was 3 of 5 last week in Edmonton. He's got 3 receivers out to his left. They handed off. Augustine wrapped up pretty much at the line of scrimmage. It was back-to-back MOPs, as we mentioned, for Zach Collaros, and he's done some fine work here with the Bombers.
Well, got the Bombers off to a 9-0 start to the regular season last year. Of course, looking to get to the Grey Cup in the 3rd straight season, and didn't win it. The Argos took the Grey Cup, if you've forgotten, last November, but Zach Collaros over 4,000 yards passing, one of just 3 quarterbacks to do it last year.
One of the other 2, Trevor Harris, on the other side of the ball tonight. Here's Brown under a little bit of pressure, rolls out far side of the field, and that one thrown out of bounds, looking for the big fella, Carlton Agadosi.
So QB2 is important as well, and that's the evaluation going on Drew Brown, and that's what he does well, is to get outside the pocket, run, throw on the run. That one a little bit too far outside, but keep in mind their starter and their leader in Collaros threw more touchdown passes last year than any other team in the CFL.
16 of them to Schoen, I believe, who just had a phenomenal debut.
He had a bit of a year, didn't he? Rookie of the year.
Fantasy superstar last year was Dalton Schoen, and people have rave reviews about what they've seen from him so far this year. Jones takes us at his own 35, quickly to his left, found a little bit of room up the middle, decent return, back just shy of the 50. And looks like we might get a look here at Mason Fine when we return to IG Field in Winnipeg on TSN. Might be his only one.
Well, checked all the boxes. Looks good. Rhythm was there. Got his receivers going, and now we'll see Mason Fine. We'll see Jake Dolegala, I'm sure, here tonight. Probably Shea Patterson as well. But Fine, a couple of starts last year at the end of the season.
In big games, too.
He completed 80% of his passes in the first preseason game this year. So they're still trying to sort out that QB2 spot.
Quarterback battle in behind Trevor Harris. They'll hand it off to Morrow, and he gets about half of what they need on first down. But yeah, all other 3 guys against the BC Lions actually put together pretty good tape for the coaches to look at.
You know, the Riders last year got off to a real good start. I mean, they won the 4 of their first 5, then went out to the East Coast. Wolfville lost that game in an ugly way to the Argos, and then lost their confidence, and it really spiraled. I think they lost their last 7.
Yeah, just 2 wins after that great start. Here's Fine, far side. Winnipeg's got it, turns, and we'll have the first down wrapped up by Cramdy, but not until he's already got where he needed to go.
Jake Winnipeg, whether it's Trevor Harris, little bang route where he looks like he's going to run a curl, which is an inside cut, and then just bangs it back out to the sideline.
Winnipeg just 2 touchdowns last season, had 11 the year before. Now right up the middle, Patterson, and look at the burst of speed from him, and he cruises untouched to a first down for the Riders.
Well, every team will have 3 quarterbacks on the roster this year, and that's important to these guys, you know, because whether you're going to come in these situations, maybe run a different style of offense, little riding the side there, RPO type of look, and although that was really just 2 choices, either give it and run or run yourself.
First and 10 on the Winnipeg 34, Fine right side. Walker with the completion, his 3rd catch of the ball game, and he's wrapped up neatly by DeMario Houston.
You know, when I think of Darrell Walker, and you think of those first couple of years in the league in Edmonton, where in 2016 he had almost 1,600 yards receiving. I mean, you make an argument that he was the best receiver in the league that year, and then it's, you know, it's fallen off. But when I say that, he had almost 900 yards last year in an off season.
Yeah, that's a good point. 874 yards in a year where Walker really going. They had quarterback issues where he was. Hickson stays on his feet momentarily, but then is wrapped up.
Yeah, great point. I mean, they went through different quarterbacks as well, and Taylor Cornelius, it looks like he'll be the starter, but they have options there, and I just think it's a crucial time. You could see you know, 3 or 4 more all-star style years from Darrell Walker, or maybe you don't see him as of Labor Day or beyond if he can't get that form back and that mojo back.
Well, an early connection with Trevor Harris could go a long way for Darrell Walker. 45-yarder for Lawther, missed an extra point earlier in the game. And this one's pushed wide right as well. This will be brought out by Cole, near side of the field. Finds himself a little bit of space. He's got some room at the 30, stays on his feet, cuts it back, midfield, tripped up, touchdown, Sabres. It was Lawther who redeems himself and denies them a major the other way.
You just could see this starting to build momentum, and Cole on the outside, and Lawther, who missed a couple now, saves a touchdown.
Missed the kick, but managed to step up and make the tackle. Cole was that close to taking it to the house.
Jackson certainly falls under that category. He was born with a congenital heart defect called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. He was born without a left ventricle, meaning that he had to undergo a heart transplant at the age of 4 months, and since then he's experienced 4 cardiac arrests and 4 open heart surgeries. So Jackson certainly is an absolute miracle, and he's a pretty darn good singer who gets his musical genes from his dad's sister, who's a music teacher.
Guys did a great job of that, Anthem, and to be on that stage is just a little guy, very impressive.
Yeah, really impressive, really cool, and crowds have been great here at IG Field. Of course, they have a great team to cheer for and have for the last few years, and you know, but it's more than just a football game. It's more than just the game. Canadian football brings people together. It brings your city together. You can get behind your football team, wave the colors. Family moments.
Brown fakes the handoff to his right. He's going to take it himself. Slides for the first down at the end of the opening quarter. The Bombers trailing 6-0. But marching here, trying to get something going offensively. A nice start to the only look you're going to get at Trevor Harris in the preseason. He goes 4 of 4 for 72 yards and a touchdown. And it is the Riders, the visitors, on top. 6-0, and a lot of boxes checked off for their starting offense here.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we weren't sure how much we would see Trevor Harris tonight, whether it be a quarter or a half. How about one series where he went 4 for 4, 72 yards and a touchdown throw? And maybe equally important was that he involved not only Winnipeg but Darrell Walker. And again, I think it's a big season for Darrell Walker, but if they can get that chemistry and Walker can get anywhere near that early type of mojo he had in Edmonton where he was over 1,500, could have a big season.
Yeah, also got Sean Bain involved there. He's joining this team, looking for some more opportunity as well. Now the Bombers, on the other hand, they're starting to get things cooking here. Brown putting together their best drive of the ball game so far. And they work here from the Rider 28. Brown, far side, and coming back to it and hauling it in. Carlton Agudosi. And that'll go for a first down as well. Bombers marching.
Great opportunity for Agudosi here to really make a difference and maybe get some early playing time in the regular season for Kenny Lawler, who is back with the Bombers but has to deal with some immigration issues, and that may take 3 or 4 weeks. So big opportunity here for Carlton Agudosi to make a difference and get in that starting lineup.
Down to the Riders 16. 3 options to the left for Brown. Looks that way first, throws that way now, looking for Bailey, who is tied up. Couldn't make a play on the ball, and it falls incomplete.
Roland Milligan was, I think the Riders' best defensive back last year. And, I take a look at him, and #1 in knockdowns on his team, and just a solid halfback. One of the toughest positions to play in the game. I don't know what side of the border you're on, is that defensive halfback spot, because there's so much room and so much yards on each side for receivers to work. Milligan had a big season. He's back at halfback.
2nd and 10 now for Brown. Has time, gets it away, just misses the outstretched hand of O'Leary Orange.
Larry Orange is going to start close to the line of scrimmage, and then he ends up on that dig route. And you're right, they weren't far off from making this happen. I mean, Larry Dean is in the middle, but he takes the back out to open up a throwing lane. Drew Brown thought he had one.
O'Leary Orange was targeted 6 times in Edmonton last weekend, caught 3 of them. The steal comes out now. 23-yard field goal attempt in his 3rd stint with the Bombers. This one to get his team on the board from just inside 25. And that is up and through. Bombers trail 6. We're going to do this over again. A legal procedure penalty here on the Bombers, Suits.
Yeah, it didn't get lined up right. Didn't get an end to close off the line of scrimmage. And, you know, this is going to happen with a lot of young players that are up from the United States, don't know the CFL rules and line up correctly, but we'll make them kick it over again.
I'm going to put the positive spin on it. Another rep for Castile.
Yeah,
right, hit the first one. I'm going to back him up a little bit. 5 yards. This time he'll be kicking it from just inside 30. And once again, he's smooth right down the middle. And he knocks it home to officially put them on the board.
Well, after the tailspin, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had to make some changes, and they wanted to shore up their offensive line. Trevor Harris, of course, the biggest name on that board, but they brought in some help. I mean, Philip Blake and Peter Godber on the offensive line. Micah Johnson's not dressed tonight, and we've talked about Darrell Walker and Jake Winnipeg, the receiving corps. So a lot of changes in the offseason for Saskatchewan, most of them on offense.
Well, and a new guy calling the shots offensively as well this year.
Kelly Jeffrey, yeah, and the OC, interesting.
He was working with the running backs last year. Both running backs, Morrow and Hickson, had tremendous years. Both of them ended up being top 10 in league rushing. And so obviously they liked what they got from Kelly Jeffrey and promoted him to offensive coordinator.
Well, you know, and I like his background too. I mean, spent 10 years at Mount Allison, 8 of them as a head coach. So he understands the pressures. He understands what Craig Dickinson deals with. But he's got a chance to work with a veteran who knows what he likes in Trevor Harris.
Here's Mason Fine, 2nd and 8. And that one incomplete. Looked like some miscommunication there between him and Braden Lennius. And that'll bring up a punting situation for the Riders.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because that's the rhythm or the coordination that you want with offense and your quarterback and your receiver to. Does the receiver curl and slide out because he thinks that's where the hole is, or does the quarterback pull him back into the middle because that's where he thinks the hole is? And that time they were on a different page.
Sack with the kick, and it's a good one. Jones takes it just inside the 20, and he is wrapped up immediately.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, on the other hand, don't make a lot of changes in the offseason. A lot of their free agents want to be back with this team. They love the culture, and there was one major change. Greg Ellingson is gone, and Kenny Lawler back from Edmonton. Now he probably won't be available for 2 or 3 weeks to start the season. I mentioned the immigration issue, and Claris won't have that big target back just yet. Stems back from a impaired driving charge that he pleaded guilty for a couple of years ago. And now they're doing some immigration paperwork to work to get it all done legally and properly, and lawyers will
the guilty plea basically has forced him to get a special permit, and they're going to go through that. It's going to take a few weeks to get that done.
Yeah, and you know, these things, when you get communicated to, you have to work. I know some people probably say, well, why didn't this happen a month ago? But I'm sure the Bombers just found out about it and are trying to work as quickly as they can and get Kenny Lawler back on the field. And from all accounts, Kenny Lawler has learned from his mistake. He pleaded guilty. He's done a ton of community work.
We've been told he's a completely different guy after what he has gone through over the last couple of years. So
Carlton Agudosi gets a chance now to play in that spot. You know, and again, not many changes for the Bombers. I mean, you've got a couple of guys that, you know, you don't see them tonight. I mean, the Nick Dembskis, the Dalton Schoens, the Brady Oliveras. We're not seeing them tonight, but they're all here and they're ready to go.
Yeah, Lawler and Castile, the two guys that they brought back, and those are two guys who won championships with them over the last few years. So an interesting strategy of, hey, who did we have last year and we didn't win? Oh, Lawler and Castile? Okay, let's go bring them back.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Who didn't win by a blocked field goal.
Exactly, that close. That close. Outside of that, it's a lot of the familiar faces. They've managed to keep the core intact. Coaching staff, you know, continues to grind it out here in Winnipeg as well. And they look to work their way back to the top of the West, where they've been perched for a few years now. Here's Brown. Completion. Nice tackle, though, made immediately. The Leary Orange had nowhere to go on that play.
Well, it's an overused, you know, word, I guess, a culture, you know, in sports today, but it really is part of what Kyle Walters and Michael O'Shea have built here to have so many free agents want to stay with the team. And, you know, sometimes they'll even take less money to stay with the team. And, you know, I know Milt Stiegel somewhere in the studio or at home is saying, "Are you kidding me? You're taking less money? That's unheard of."
That's Holm running onto the field last second here for Winnipeg. And that kick, I don't know if it's deflected the line or kicker just tried to get rid of it a little bit quickly, but it sails out of bounds off the leg of Jamison Sheehan. Beautiful Friday in. First and 10 for the Riders. Fine, dancing around in the pocket, dumps it off. B.J. Emmons wrapped up somewhat awkwardly there after a pretty positive pickup on first down.
Yeah, he got kind of twisted back. Didn't see who tackled him, but he bounced up from this one. It's like maybe the end of Jamal Morrow's night as starter, but that is awkward. Seems to be okay, though.
Barrington Wade out of Iowa on the tackle there. Fine, high snap, brings it in, no problem. Hands it off. That'll get down just inside the 45, which is right around where they needed to get for the first down. It's going to be awfully close.
Yeah, they'll bring in the short yardage here, and Shea Patterson. They also bring in Albert Awachi in the short yardage team. Oh, and if you're keeping track, the fact that Patterson is in the short yardage team, does that mean he's made the roster?
It sure seems like it with these short yardage guys, right? If this is going to be your job, you kind of have to have a spot.
You're practicing what looks like it's going to be your job in the season. So, fine and Dalagala.
That's what it comes down to, is what you're thinking. And Patterson not only does the job, but he does it very well. They pick up the first down here, that offensive line, which went through some changes this offseason as well, as they look to protect their quarterbacks a little bit better.
Yeah, the two free agent signings, as we mentioned earlier, is Philip Blake and Peter Godber over from the BC Lions, and of course Blake from Toronto, but it's about chemistry. They've got Evan Johnson up front. Logan Furlan's poised for a big year.
First and 10 for Fine. Some pressure coming here from the Bombers. Hands it off. Evans makes a move, takes it down just inside the 40.
You know, when they had Peter Godber signed, that was a big one. I mean,
that was a day one signing, wasn't it? Like right away, a priority to get him done alongside Trevor Harris.
Dan Clark decided, well, I guess they mutually decided that Dan Clark would retire after an outstanding career as the center for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
2nd and 7. They'll hand it off again. And a nice push. A lot of running room there for Evans, who's out of Florida Atlantic. Played at a couple of different places. Started at Alabama back in 2016, but making the most of an opportunity here.
Yeah, he's chipping away, isn't he? I mean, just take that axe, stand in front of the tree, and just start chopping. Chip away, bounce in the hole. Good feet. Take the hit, protect the football so you don't turn it over. Nice.
Patterson in the game again, and he's going to hold that ball and take off again. This time down inside the 20, and depending on the spot, that might be another first down. That's the second time they've worked him in here, Glenn, and opportunity, a designed quarterback run, essentially.
Well, again, if you've got a scorecard at home on who will be the number 2 quarterback behind Trevor Harris, it may not be Patterson, but who's going to be on the roster is most important. And if he's getting a play package, not just short yards, but now a play package as well, bodes well for him staying on.
Spent time with Montreal and BC last year. Only saw game action in Montreal. Fine back in the game, working from the Winnipeg 19. 3 options out to his right. Hands it off. Nice jump cut by Emmons. And he stays on his feet, at least momentarily. Gets it down inside the 15 before they finally finish the job. And looks like Jamal Parker a little bit banged up after being involved in that tackle.
Yeah, he's in a little discomfort there, and well, I like the base and how solid Emmons running in the hole. I mean,
Bomber staff out to take a look at Jamal Parker. We'll be back. To Ghost, now streaming on Stars. Threats and betrayals. That's good dramatic television right there, Suits.
well, this wasn't betrayal, but it was friendly fire. It looks like on Jamal Parker. It looked like Mario Houston, his teammate, knee to knee.
Well, it's interesting because the Bombers are still trying to sort out what they're going to do in the secondary. They've got lots of guys they like. It's just a matter of where they're all going to fit into the plan come week 1. So that's one of the guys in Parker who would have been involved there, now limping off the field.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 45. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Celestin Haba out of Texas A&M Commerce just offside.
It's a pretty interesting discussion about the defense with O'Shea earlier in the week. He said they're looking for the best 6 in that secondary, not the 6 best. So he wants the group that comes together the best as 6, which is an interesting way to look at it.
I think that it's the only way to look at it, really.
Another handoff and some heavy contact as Emmons works it down to the 5.
The whole premise of that is, you know, are you willing to be unselfish, not be the headline guy? Maybe you're the 6th DB, or maybe you're on the teams. He wants the guys that are going to do that and sacrifice for the guy beside him in the locker room, and that's what this game is all about. That's that culture I've been talking about with Coach O'Shea. We want to find the guys that will work together unselfishly.
10th play of the drive. It's been over 5 minutes for Fine. Now he looks to the corner of the end zone. Got it! Touchdown! Excellent throw from Mason Fine, and he drops it in there to Lipscomb.
Well, it was a tremendous throw in timing. Lipscomb's running the corner route, and Mason Fine has to lift this football, get it up over the defender, and then drop it in on the corner route to the wide side of the field. To be that accurate on that throw, that's outstanding.
A 10-play, 54-yard drive took almost 6 minutes. Elijah Lipscomb there to finish it off out of Vanderbilt. The 25-year-old finds the end zone on a 5-yard catch. And that's another miss. A third miss. All 3 of them pushed to the right by Lopter. 2 extra points and a field goal now left hanging out there for the Riders. Somewhat interesting.
You know, at Vanderbilt, you have to learn, there's a country music class. Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right, let's send it down to John Lou for more on a very interesting and busy week for Trevor Harris.
Yeah, Dustin. Last Thursday, Trevor Harris and his wife welcomed their 3rd son to the world, Trip, making a trifecta with Trenton and Trace. And Harris describes his last couple of weeks as wanting to be in 2 different places. But the Riders organization insisted on their new quarterback being home with his family for the delivery of Trip. And so that really made for a galvanizing experience for player and the organization. Head coach Craig Dickinson said that it really shows how much of a family man, how devoted a family man Harris is, as well as a team guy, for wanting to get back to training camp as soon as possible, something that Dickinson believes will go a long way with Harris's new teammates. Guys?
Quick turnaround, but a special moment, no doubt about that.
Congratulations to the Harris family. We know the toughest Harris family member is Mama. We know that for sure.
Tolley kicks it away. It'll be taken and brought back by Mari Jones. And he's gang tackled at about the 40.
But Trevor Harris is a good fit in Saskatchewan. Now, you got to win, and you've got to play great. You got to be out there and ready for your teammates. It's, by all accounts, that's what he's doing, engaging with the fans, much like Cody Fajardo did early in his career.
Yep.
I mean, he was a huge fan favorite when he first arrived. So, you know, what happens on the field is most important. I'll tell you what, Trevor Harris seems like a great fit in Saskatchewan.
Setting the tone early, isn't he? Sure looks like it. Busy time for him in camp here. Perfect in this game and working hard on the sidelines. A completion to O'Leary Orange, and he's taken down at the 45. Sets up a 2nd and 4.
And I think we're at the warning.
And that'll take us to 3 minutes, and we'll step away here. Preseason action between the Riders and the Bombers in Winnipeg.
Seeing Kate Bernesk here on the desk. He's always been honest with me. Jim, what do you think?
Really?
See you next week, Kate.
Sounds like he's doing a great job.
He's doing fine. Come on. We miss Kate.
Man of many talents there. But yes, Kate, hurry back. Brown under pressure here on 2nd down is wrapped up before he could do anything with that football.
You know, it goes by so fast, the preseason, when you're a young guy, when you're a rookie trying to make the team, and you know, that's not the case for Drew Brown, of course. He's been around here, and he's trying to get some timing down with the second team. But, you know, as I mentioned, around 30 guys for both of these teams will be released in the next day or 2. And make something happen.
Jones on the return. Ball popped out. That sounded like it came out after the whistle. But good field, good covered downfield by the Bombers.
Well, and even if top draft picks and top free agents, they've got to cover on the special teams. You want to make the team play well on the teams. And you get down the field, get involved, make a tackle, win your battle. And all of a sudden, there's another reason to keep you. For the coaches.
Anytime you can get a check next to your name in a way they can use you, it'll go a long way. And that was Cole getting down the field there. Fine, still in the game, hands it off once again to B.J. Emmons. And Emmons cuts it back after picking up a couple of yards, and a steady dive to carries here for Emmons.
Anything you could do is great. I got to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
So I'm in training camp as a rookie, and coach walks in and says, "Does anyone know how to hold on field goals?" I had never held in my life, and I shot my hand up so quickly and then completely lied to my coach that I had tons of experience as a holder.
And it worked.
Whatever you can do to help.
This pass in behind the intended target. That was Lenius again. Fine was under a little bit of pressure, had to get rid of that ball before he got sacked, and it falls incomplete, brings up third down.
You know, I don't care what division you play in or what league you play in. If you throw for 12,000 yards in school, I mean, I'm not sure in 4 years of practice you can throw for 12,000 yards against air. But that's what Mason Fine did at North Texas.
High snap, brought back in and booted away. This will back up Matt Cole. He takes it at the 25, and he is scooped up immediately on the play by Deontay Williams.
Yeah, there you go. So you're a young guy, who they love, by the way.
They like this guy?
Yeah, oh yeah. Deontay Williams in that secondary, getting the time to play in the back end as well. But you're a young guy, number 24, right in the middle of your screen. And Cole has made some things happen here in this game in the first quarter. Tracks him down and is right there to make the tackle. I guarantee, and here's the other thing about special teams. The whole team watches the film. Not offense, not defense. They split up to do that. But when it's special teams, everybody's watching. All the coaches.
So they know.
All your teammates, they know when you make a play on the teams.
Williams, a 26-year-old out of Nebraska. Brown, a nice job to avoid some pressure here. On the run, trying to go back shoulder for Agudosi. Jones was there in coverage. Would have been a pretty spectacular catch if Agudosi could have got back to that one.
Now, just a little bit off on his timing. He is showing some good mobility. Again, this is something that Collaros uses in his game a ton, is to get outside, move the pocket, buy himself some more time, but just a little bit off on the timing and accuracy, because Aguidosi's got to know that, okay, where is he going to let it go? Right back shoulder, not quite out of that break fast enough.
2nd and 10 now with just over a minute and a half left in the second quarter. Brown under pressure again, and this time he is taken down by Roscoe.
Cody Roscoe out of Syracuse.
Let's go. Let's get
They
something.
like what they've seen with Brian Cox. Pete Robertson returns as a defensive end. They've moved Anthony Lanier out at defensive end.
This kicked away from the 10, takes a bounce at the 50. Hands held on to as that ball was live. Cramby all the way down the field there with a quick tackle of Watson.
There you go, young guy for the Bombers. Cramby, he's not a rookie.
Well, they moved him around a little bit last year.
Yeah, but getting down the field and a good open field tackle on the teams.
He had 7 special teams tackles last season, now in his 3rd year with the Bombers. Riders leading 12-3. Final preseason game of the year. It'll begin for real next week. Jones hangs on to this one, hauls that one in neatly. Tevin Jones. How many guys in this game have the last name Jones? I feel like I'm saying Jones every 3 minutes.
And there's double numbers and lots to sort
Couple
out.
of Coles.
Yeah, but a nice,
This is a nice back shoulder throw, though, for Mason Fine. A couple now. Remember that corner route for the touchdown? Outstanding on that one. Wide field corner route.
Fine quickly near side. Jones was not ready for that one, and that'll fall incomplete and bring up 2nd and 10.
But let's look at this Tevin Jones and remember Agagasi for the Bombers and the timing off a little bit with Drew Brown. This one is bang on between Fine and Jones. Back shoulder, you got to know when to put the brakes on as a receiver so that you don't do it too early and the DB can recover. You got to do it right at the last second, come back and catch that back shoulder.
Jones had 3 touchdowns for the Riders last season. Fine. Looking for Watson. Ooh, he got his hands on it, but it does fall incomplete.
Not like they're working on a rookie either. Mario Houston around, and they're going after him on that outside at the corner spot. Pretty good position here, making this a tough catch for Watson over the shoulder. I think he might have been out of bounds anyway. Now Lawler,
shaky day.
can he get it straight here?
He's missed 3 kicks already. This one, the deepest from 51 for Lothar. Trying to get on track here. And that one, by the slimmest of margins, sneaks it in from just outside 50. And the Riders go on top 15-3.
You know, this is the final preseason game. We start playing for real next week, and that's a pretty good hole to get that down. I believe that's a newcomer in Adam Korsak. And that just sneaks in, but he was...
Looks like it might have just nicked the inside there.
And that's under the category for a veteran 6-year starting kicker. That's under the, yeah, good, I can sleep at night, at least. That was going to bug him forever.
When you knock in one from 51, who cares about those other kicks?
As long as you win, and I know it's preseason, but I guarantee you they care about the score.
You still want that dub?
Oh, no question.
Solely set to kick it away. 59 seconds remaining here in the first half. Riders on top. Taken cleanly at the 15. Near side of the field, Slurray on the return. And he is taken down a couple of times by the Riders. And just over 50 seconds left to work here.
So the first half complete, basically the total first half for Drew Brown. Tough to assess. That's 3 points on the board. So 7 of 12, 60 yards. Hasn't thrown a pick.
Moved around a little bit.
Very well.
Yep.
Accuracy's been off a little bit.
Quickly, Agudosi bobbled it ever so slightly and then managed to haul it in for a pretty good pickup on first down.
I remember that first game of the season, and Zach Collaros was pulled by the spotter official, thought that he may be injured, so they pulled him off. That's a rule in the CFL, and Drew Brown had to come in and win that game, and he did.
They went 3 for 3 on that game-winning drive. A helmet pops out of the pile as the ball is pushed towards the 45. Needed about 44 and a half to get the first down. And they've got enough.
So they go 9-0 to start the season. Chance to go 10-0 for the first time since 1960. And who beats them in the 10th game?
Team or quarterback? Because I'll give you both. I mean, Trevor Harris?
Well, interesting that Trevor Harris is going to face Winnipeg. Winnipeg's going to face Trevor Harris probably 3 times a year now.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe even more. Back when he's in Montreal, it was twice a year at most. But yeah, it was 9 in a row for the Bombers. They were poised to win that 10th going into a bye, and Trevor Harris in Montreal got in here. He didn't have huge numbers.
Didn't light the world on fire.
But absolutely not. But
that was a fun football game. I remember doing that one. That last pass far side of the field incomplete. So 2nd and 10 on the 45 for the Bombers. Brown flush out of the pocket again. High stepping his way to some freedom. Works it up to the 50. Dunks it off. Incomplete, but there's a flag on the play. Brown was popped at the end of the play. Looked like he might have been a yard or 2 over the line of scrimmage as well as he was hit. Flag would probably be for that, but there's a discussion to be had here. There's Deontay Williams again, though, getting in his face.
Yeah, they like Deontay Williams, and Deontay Williams likes Saskatchewan. Nebraska Cornhuskers in Lincoln.
Illegal forward pass. Winnipeg, number 6. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Well, the same population as Regina. Lincoln, Nebraska. He said he feels right at home.
That's a big part of it, right?
Absolutely. I'm in a community that actually absolutely goes nuts for their football team. Nebraska's one and Regina's the other. And Winnipeg is one too. Don't think for a second they're not behind their football team.
Big kick. Jones has to hustle back, but he gets there just inside the 10. There's a flag on that initial tackle as he takes it up the sideline and eventually runs out of bounds. Jamison Sheehan with a nice boot there, 54-yarder from the global draft pick.
Illegal block, Saskatchewan, number 86. 10-yard penalty, first down.
This is an area that Craig Dickinson really wants to improve upon.
Discipline?
Discipline. I said when they're winning, what was it, 4 of their first 5, I believe it was, to start the season, and then losing out on the East Coast in an ugly way. That's where the discipline issues kind of started, and it really derailed the football team.
First half about to wrap up here. You're right. They just had a trouble getting back on track. Something like that can throw off your season. And once it starts to spiral, near impossible to turn around. Fine takes a knee, and that will do it. Mason Fine, 6 of 10, 46 yards, and a touchdown pass. Trevor Harris, 4 of 4, 72 yards, and a touchdown pass himself. And Trevor Harris is with our John Luke.
Trevor, a very efficient opening drive for you. Did you accomplish everything that you wanted to do in that sequence?
No, I wanted some more time. Coach Greg said no, and I lobbied a couple times, and he said no. But, we got to go out there one possession, and we did what we needed to do. But at the same time, the work's far from done. We've seen a lot of things on the sideline watching the film, good things to talk about for us to continue to improve details.
In the absence of more reps for yourself, though, in the big picture, would you describe the vibe surrounding this team that's undergone so many changes, yourself included?
Yeah, it's just we've got a bunch of guys that believe in one another, and we've bonded a lot in this training camp. It's been really, really fun to see. You never know how guys are going to bond together when you're bringing in different people, especially at the quarterback position and a couple of the key pieces. But it's been really, really fun to see, and I couldn't be more thrilled and excited to get to week 1 now.
Thanks for this, Trevor.
Go to bed, TJ, Kaylee. Take care of those boys. I love you guys.
All right, let's send it back to the studio with Matthew Shinetti and the panel.
Welcome back to IG Field in Winnipeg, where the Bombers trail the Riders 15-3. John Lewis with Johnny Augustine.
Johnny, because there are quite a few players who are still competing for jobs in addition to trying to find some rep time, how would you assess the quality of that first half for your club?
Honestly, our team mentality is who's ever up, who's ever on the field, whoever's starting. At the end of the day, the expectations remain the same, and I think guys are doing a great job, It starts with the leadership ahead, Coach O'Shea addressing that from the get-go, and I think guys are stepping up, and we're seeing that today.
With Brady Oliveira injured for most of training camp, have you been approaching all your reps, all your practices over the last couple of weeks with the mentality that you might be the starter in week 1?
I mean, honestly, that's always been my mentality. Regardless of the fact if someone's hurt, Brady's hurt, whether it's not, whether I'm backing up, my mentality has always been the same. It's never changed the last 6 years, so I still approach it every day, coming to work and working hard every day.
Thanks for this, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you.
A nice return there by Javian Hawkins, getting his first action in this football game, and takes that ball up over the Riders' 50.
Johnny Augustine had 6 touches in the first half, rushing the ball for 21 yards, and as he just said on the sideline that he may be starting to see. They're not sure yet on Brady Oliveira. He's been injured most of camp, practicing a little bit over the last couple of days, but may not be ready for week 1.
Good news that he's at least practicing a little bit. Here's Fine, remains in this game, and guns that one in there down to the 50, and it's held onto by Satterfield.
That's interesting as to whether or not, leaving Mason Fine in is a good thing for Fine, or is it that they really want to see if he can take the job of Jake Dolegala in their mind right now. I mean, this is a fight for number 2, it feels like, for me, in a big, big way. because Shea Patterson is taking all the short team rep, and he's got a play package.
And he's in there right now on 2nd and short. They need 2 yards. Patterson's got it again. He's got the first down. Tripped up. Had that ball up to about the 45, but then kind of brought it back trying to get around the edge, and it'll still be just enough.
Just got there. Cole's made some plays now. He's made some plays. Matt Cole on the special teams, and he comes up and makes a tackle here. And Shea Patterson, this is, if you're going to do that on short yardage and bounce it, boy, you better get the corner. Better get that edge. You don't get the edge, you're in trouble.
They do get that first down. Working from the Winnipeg 46. Fine. Pressure's picked up. Gets it away. That's complete far side for a first down. As he gets Keith Corbin, the third, involved for the first time this evening.
I'm going to put this in the category of great throws for Mason Fine, because that corner route was one. That was the best one. The deep route down the sideline, end of first half, that's an accurate throw. It needed to be there on time or it's going the other way.
Corbin last week caught 6 of 7 targets for 60 yards and a touchdown. That's his first tonight. Now they'll hand it off. And a few tackles broken along the way there for Rodney Smith, I believe.
The Bombers are working on their young guys and evaluating their defense. Jackson Jeffcoat has been injured, so he's not even dressed tonight. Willie Jefferson played a little out the top of the game, but he's out. Jake Thomas out.
Mason Fine, 8 of 12 for 69 yards and a major. Some pressure this time from Winnipeg right up the middle. Got it away as he was hit. And that falls into the waiting arms of number 88, Kendall Watson.
You know, and I only bring up that, you know, the starters for the Bombers on defense aren't really there, especially in the second half, because there was a couple of guys like Malik Clements and Shane Gauthier that's got a lot of playing time. Jesse Briggs a little bit in the first half, but Saskatchewan's playing against the second team guys, young guys right now in the Winnipeg defense.
Shea Patterson back into the game, this time on first down. From the Winnipeg 12. 3 receivers out to his left. Hands it off. It's fumble. Patterson hops all over it and avoids disaster as it was batted out of the hands of Rodney Smith.
Yeah, that was one of those plays where it's like Mark Trestman used to call it the ride and decide, where Smith cannot take it from Patterson. He's got to let the quarterback ride that for a step or two so he can make the read and decide whether or not he leaves it for his running back or pulls it.
Fine back in the game here, needing 20 yards, 4 receivers to his left. That's where he looks, thought about it. Now he's going to be tracked down and taken down. Caleb Thomas gets home.
Wanted to go deep, and he only had really one target back there. I think it was Watson, number 88. Kendall Watson was the only deep threat, and he looked like he was well covered. So Fine taking a look down, see he wants to go deep down the middle, and good pressure.
Lothar from 32, and this one is steady enough as the Riders add to their lead. The visitors on top 18-3. And look at the Bombers 2023 CFL draft, 8th overall, Anthony Bennett.
Yeah, started the game opposite of Willie Jefferson with Jeffcoat not dressed, and Anthony Bennett, a Canadian, although he's born in Florida and played in 2019 with Florida Atlantic.
Pigram in the game now. This is Tyrell Pigram, had 2 touchdowns in Edmonton in their first preseason game, and I think they liked what they saw from Pigram last week.
Comes back, get him settled in with a little running play up the middle, just a chance to take a hit and shake off some of the nerves early, and let's see what he can do.
Pigram played at Maryland for most of his college career, also had time at Western Kentucky, Towson, and Was on the Ole Miss roster in 2021, but did not play. 5 carries for 71 yards and a couple of touchdowns last week. And he has a completion here to the running back, Jordan Salima.
Yeah, he impressed last week, didn't he? I mean, this is what these games are about. Young guys that you don't really know about sometimes, and especially in our league, they come from Division 2 schools at times, or Division 3 schools at times, and maybe overlooked by other leagues, and come in here and get a chance to show what they can do and show that they're world class. And we'll see what Pickram can do here in the second half.
Pickram now in trouble, takes off, stays on his feet, pushing ahead.
Wow.
Another tackle broke. Wow. 4 Riders come up empty as Pickram powers his way close to a first down.
He would not be denied on that run. He broke about 4 tackles here. He got a chance. It looked like he was caught for a sack. First of all, the pocket collapsed on him, and he didn't get a chance to even go past his first read. Now he's just breaking tackles and getting up. You know, when I Google searched him and checked him out, I saw that he was a high school player of the year in Alabama. If you're
kind of a big deal then.
If you're the high school player of the year in Alabama, you're doing something.
25 years old, 5'10", 200 pounds. Looks to be on track to be the short yardage option here. He's got a completion again to Salima. Salima, first down and more. Takes it inside the 35, spins his way down close to the 30, and Pickram has the offense moving here.
Well, you know, there's so many options this year for offensive coordinators. There's an extra quarterback on the roster. You get a really good athlete in maybe your number 3 spot. Doesn't need to have really all that much experience. Just get a very good athlete out there. You can play 2 quarterbacks now on the field at the same time. That rule
we haven't seen
a couple years ago.
Take too much advantage of.
Not yet. I've been waiting for Edmonton to do it with Trey Ford and Loxley.
Salima this time up the middle, and 2 or 3 yards on the first down carry.
By the way, I love the change, or the addition, I guess, to add the 3rd quarterback and help to develop the most important position on the field. Have guys that are in the meeting rooms, they're watching video every week, they're learning from the coordinators. There's Buck Pierce.
Good guy to learn from.
Absolutely.
Coach O'Shea earlier in the week on a call told us Pickram just needs to learn the game. He needs to learn the CFL game because he's so athletic. He just sees the field and wants to run. Low snap here, bounces. Pickram picks it up, takes off again, out to his right. Waiting, finds a little bit of room down inside the 10 towards the end zone. Steps out of bounds, but there's a flag inside the end zone of the Riders. Looked like somebody was trying to come back to the ball. 21 yards. Well, likely going to be wiped out here.
Two things here from Pickram, though. First of all, the poise.
Illegal contact. Saskatchewan, number 33. That penalty is declined. First down.
Well, it's against the Riders, so
Londre Thomas.
that play stands. But first of all, I love the poise. The snap is low, so he's already in panic mode, but he doesn't panic. Just slides outside. Real good move in the open field, make the first man miss, and then an illegal play somewhere from one of the Riders away from the play.
Pickram. Incomplete. Agudosi was left wide open, but that pass low and behind him.
Now, I wonder if there was no throwing lane there for Pickram, that he had an open receiver. He just had to throw it around the rush, and that caused the problem.
So 2nd and goal from the 5. He's a fun player to watch, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Athletically, very impressive.
Trying to finish off a drive here today. Bombers looking for the end zone for the first time at home here on a preseason Friday night. Pickram trying to escape up the middle. This time they're all over him. Back to the line of scrimmage and no further. That'll bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, and that's another low snap. And again, that's That takes, you know, the quarterback, it takes his eyes off the field. So as soon as that ball's low like that, he has to scramble. He drops his eyes, and now there's no chance for him to go through his progressions, although that rush was there anyway. But that's back-to-back low snaps that kind of handcuff him.
Looks like they're going to stay out here on the field, though. Preseason opportunity to work from the 5 on a 3rd and goal situation. That's Salima standing into the right of Tyrell Pigram. 3 options out to his left. Looks there first. Throws there. And that is caught. Held on to. Nice. Heck of a play. Drops it into the hands of Amari Jones.
Very nice. Very nice. Tyrell Pigram. He's got Bomber fans out of their seat. Yes, he does. Tell you what, there was some nice plays. There's a little highlight pack for number 3 wearing blue. I mean, that throw to the back shoulder again, outstanding. Well covered. Jones comes up with it, but the throw and the accuracy, fantastic. How about some runs in the open field, some great moves, breaking 4 tackles on a early 1st down run in that series. I see it, Tyrell Pigram.
No hesitation on the throw. Eh? He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yep.
Executed it perfectly.
There's another miss.
That one is hammered wide right. I believe they call him Piggy.
Okay.
That's what I was told earlier in the week.
Are we allowed to do that?
I don't know, but he looks good.
The accuracy on this throw to Amari Jones. He's going to run the fade here, and the accuracy's got to be right to that outside shoulder, the back shoulder on this go route, because the coverage and the leverage from the coverage is all inside. So you can see that great leverage inside. He can't throw it through a defender, so the accuracy's got to be to the outside shoulder. And watch how accurate Pigram is on this throw. Nice tight spiral, back outside shoulder. Can't defend it. Can't defend a throw and catch like that.
Pigram was 3 of 4 for 23 yards through the air, 4 carries for 38 on the ground. And now they've got something cooking all the way out to midfield. Another good return from the Riders. That is a couple of them so far in this half. That time, Rodney Smith getting it done. Pigram to Jones, and the Bombers are in business.
Down throw. And 235's involved. Onyeka on a block, Smith on the return, and preseason is the only time you'll hear 235s on the same team on the play.
You know, after you prep for a preseason game, the rest of the year seems so easy. Oh, there's only this many guys. Excellent. Jake Dolegala now into the game. That's number 9 in green and white. Great field position after that return. Dolegala far side, a quick completion. And great job turning that upfield by Satterfield. And he's got a 1st down and a trip inside the net there.
You know, the other thing you should mention is that we talked about some of the competitions. Mason Fine, Dolegala looking at number 2, maybe Shea Patterson. Again, this is all speculation because Craig Dickinson has not declared this. Who will be behind Trevor Harris and who will be short yardage, but with Patterson doing that whole package that he has, it looks like he may be number 3.
Pressure from the Bombers. Dolegala escapes up the middle of the pocket, takes off, and the big fella rumbles down inside the 30 for a 1st down. 6'7", 242.
You know, he's not as quick as Mason Fine, but he can run as well and didn't call it. But, you know, you have to also consider that even if it doesn't work out on either team here, and you're a young guy trying to make the team, if you do get released, you're putting film out there for the rest of the league to see. These reps so important.
Dolegala, like Fine, 26 years old, trying to get that backup spot behind Trevor Harris. Hands it off this time, and Rodney Smith wrapped up almost immediately.
Started against Toronto last year, went 13 of 28. Spent some time in 19 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Big guy with a big arm. At 6'7", so completely different sort of body type than Mason Fine or Trevor Harris for that matter.
Went 12 of 17 for 97 yards against the BC Lions. Polagala, far side. That one complete again as he goes back over to Satterfield. Pretty good timing on these throws as well.
Well, and that looked like a flick of the wrist. I mean, it was the short side, but it just kind of, he's got a big arm.
Off it back out. 2 of 3. Missed a couple of singles as well. This one from 33 on the right hash. And the veteran kicker puts that one right down the middle. More points on the board.
A couple of times his life was in danger, but nothing serious. And so the mental and physical toughness and discipline he developed in the service translated well to the gridiron. First as a defensive end and linebacker with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and now he's trying to break into the Bombers lineup. He can also add long snapper and fullback to his resume. But as for fullback, he had never played that position before until he approached Mike O'Shea in training camp and volunteered to play. And now here he is on the verge of making himself a spot on the team, guys.
It's kind of like you lying about being a holder before, right? I've never played fullback, but I can do it for you.
Well, listen, that is, Damian Jackson that's Navy SEAL tough. I mean, that's another level, folks, and it would translate, but really no comparison as far as life and death, and gives us an opportunity to thank the men and women in the Canadian forces and in the U.S. forces and forces across the country, protecting our way of life, and the guys that are going in when everyone's running out like the wildfires in Alberta right now.
It's been pretty scary out there for sure. Down the field, was that held onto? Some preseason magic from Agudosi. The big fella hauls one in from Pigram.
Agudosi has been targeted a bunch tonight, and it was the Drew Brown Agudosi timing wasn't quite right, but I'll tell you what, this is another big time throw. That's exactly where he wanted to put it. I mean,
what's Jones supposed to do there, really?
Yeah, it's well, there's two. You pick your poison with him because he's so tall. You can throw it up and make it a jump ball as well.
Agudosi had 2 touchdowns in his CFL debut, but then was hurt the following week and missed the rest of the season. Salima with the carry, and it's a nice pickup on first down as well, right up the gut.
Tyrell Pigram is the story right now for the Bombers to me. I mean, what he has done, and just this spark, you just feel it. Like all of a sudden the whole building feels different. I mean, he was caught for a sack before that long throw and broke out of that one as well.
Pigram's 4 of 5 for 58 yards and a touchdown. They'll hand it off again. Salima right up the middle. One missed tackle, broke that one. The second guy was able to wrap him up.
Now, Drew Brown can move like this too, but there just seems to be that first step or quickness level of Pigram that changes the dynamic of a play like this. I mean, if you're a defensive end there, you are frozen because he is so quick to bounce outside. We've seen him make a bunch of guys miss when he runs the football. That opens up the inside run lane for the tailback.
Final play of the third quarter. Bombers and Pigram looking for more. They trail by a dozen. Pigram has a completion. Gavin Garner out of Northwest OK State hauls that one in. And he'll take us through 3 quarters at IG Field. The Bombers trailing the Riders as people continue to battle for spots on the opening day roster. Field of Winnipeg, Bombers trailing 21-9, and preseason does provide opportunity for somebody to come out, provide a spark for their team, and Tyrell Pigram has done just that.
I've been really impressed. I mean, high school player of the year in Alabama, that tells you something about him, and boy, he can compete very, very quick. I like what he's doing throwing the football, some real accurate passes. The touchdown throw to the back shoulder was outstanding. You know, I think of the story of when a young rookie quarterback talked to Wally Buono in BC, and Buono basically said to him, you know what, you've got 1 series, son, to make the football team. He went down and scored. That quarterback was Mike Riley. Now, I'm not putting Tyrell Pigram in the Mike Riley category just yet, but you get your moment, you get your opportunity, and he's been impressive.
Pigram hands it off. Salima makes a cut. Looks like he managed to hang on to that football and take it down just shy of the Saskatchewan 5-yard line.
I stand corrected. Michael Riley.
Well, but when he did that, it was Mike Riley. So I think you were right, Glenn.
Okay.
I know it's preseason. Everyone wants to correct their mistakes, but back then he was Mike.
Yeah, good point.
There's Pigram's number so far, over 100 yards of combined offense between the air and what he's managed to do with his legs. Agadosi working against Leandre Thomas down at the bottom of your screen. Pigram gets it to Salima. Salima takes it inside the 5, but no further.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be, this week in Winnipeg, in whether or not Brady Oliveira can start the season. We talked to Johnny Augustine that probably will get that spot, but tailback's trying to compete to be the backup.
Saw a little bit of Salima in Edmonton last week doing that game for the preseason live feed, and he looked good there, and he looks pretty good when he touched the ball so far here tonight. Go back to him again, and he waltzes into the end zone. Touchdown, Jordan Salima, and that's back-to-back scores for the Bombers.
Really nice patience from a rookie in Jordan Salima, who, when you play this sort of delayed draw, you want to take the ball and go. He gives it a little hop step, lets his block set up, and then shoots the gap and scores easily, untouched. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to the running backs and making the team, when Zach Collaros is your any quarterback for that matter, when he's your quarterback, you better block. You better be able to pick up the blitz. So that happens in the film room tomorrow, or the video room tomorrow.
Leggio out here now. Looking to tackle on one more, and that is straight down the middle. Bombers cut it to 5, just over 13 minutes remaining in a pretty entertaining preseason game at IG Field. That's Salima out of Truman State to the end zone.
Play. This is Nick Daly, the defensive end, that's got to make a decision on whether he slides underneath and takes the running back or takes the quarterback and stays wide. Now, he's in a great position here, but Pigram hasn't decided yet. He's going to give the ball inside, and look at Daly. Too late. He's gone. Tailback's gone through the hole. He was holding that outside position because Pigram's quickness and speed, and that's why that touchdown, you get in there and Salima's untouched. Salima gets the Bombers that much closer.
Bombers trying to creep their way back here. Leggio lets it fly. It's taken just inside the 9. Smith brings it back outside the 35. And that is where Golagala and the Riders offense will come back onto the field with just under 13 minutes left in the CFL preseason.
Tough decisions for these coaches to make in the next couple of days. Some have made them. Their preseasons are already over. Greg Dickinson and Michael O'Shea will have to make those over the next 24, 48 hours. Get the rosters trimmed down. And
what do you figure heading into a game like this? 90% of your roster set? Golagala down the field. What an arm. Wow. Outthrows everyone. And Satterfield couldn't catch up to it.
Yeah, I would say that for a team that struggled, and the Riders struggled last year, you're obviously making more changes, and you've got to evaluate because, well, let's be honest, 6 of the projected starters on offense for Saskatchewan this season will be free agents that played on another team last year, including their starting quarterback. So they've had to make more changes. The Bombers, on the other hand, Their core is together again.
2nd and 10 for Dolegala. Hands it off, spinning ahead. He stopped about a yard shy, maybe a long yard shy of picking up the first down as he went to Javian Hawkins.
But I'm excited about the season. I know you are too. I know football fans across the country. We've got this quarterback discussion. Cody Fajardo in Montreal. We didn't mention him off the top of the show. Former Rider. I know he is motivated and has had a great camp in Montreal. Jeremiah Masoli coming back from injury in Ottawa.
They need a yard. There are flags here before that play even gets off.
I like what the league did this year in the offseason. The rules committee decided they weren't going to make a lot of changes. Like this was a decision they discussed, that last year when they changed the hash marks and made some fairly drastic changes that seem to have helped. I'm skeptical on exactly how much moving the hash marks changed, but the scoring is back up to over 50 points a game. The game times
There's no foul on the play. The play had not been blown in.
The duration of the games, the game times have dropped. You're getting into a real workable, entertaining 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And, these quarterbacks are putting up big numbers. We're seeing more than 60% of the games decided in the final 3 minutes. I don't think any other sport on the planet can make that claim.
Here's Patterson. Has enough for the first down, eventually driven back and hammered down. But he got there, and they want more data on the changes they made last year. Right? That's what we were told earlier in the week. They want to get more information on the rule changes they made last year as opposed to just using 1 year of data.
Yeah, exactly.
And making more changes.
Yeah, and it's a smart move. Let the coaches settle in too.
Yeah, that's true.
And one of the main changes this year, again, it was subtle, but if a quarterback is sacked or there's a holding call in your own 1 yard line, that will be considered a sack this year.
Handed off to Hawkins. Maybe a yard before being heavily driven back on that play.
So this is a moment for Jake Dolegala right here. This is a moment right now. Winnipeg's got some momentum back. Tons and tons of time in a CFL game.
Oh, lots of time.
Yeah, and you're going to see possessions, but this is a key moment. The pressure's on him. He's 2nd and long. That's what Craig Dickinson's looking at.
Willie Jefferson is jumping up and down along the sideline, trying to get the crowd behind this Bombers defense as the Riders near midfield. Completion to Satterfield, stretching it out, and that should be enough for the first down right at the marker.
Well, I like what he did. Dolegala just standing in that pocket, delivering on time, giving his receiver a chance to turn around and make up that extra 2-3 yards. The Bombers were playing at about the 10-yard depth because it was 2nd and long, but a tight spot right in your living room. Tom Cool delivered a first down.
Winnipeg 52, some pressure this time. Dolegala gets it away, one-on-one, topping his screen, spinning away and picking up about 8 or 9 yards. On the play was Keith Corbin III.
You should say too, again, I mentioned it going the other way. Bombers going, to a lot of rookies now. There's no Adam Bighill out there. He's going to be the leader in the middle. There's Willie Jefferson cheerleading on the sideline. He's not out there. Jackson Jeffcoat. Brandon Alexander in the middle too of the secondary. Started the game but hasn't played much.
2nd and 1. This time Dolegala stays in as opposed to clearing things out for Patterson, and he uses all of that 6'7" frame to lunge ahead for a first down, Saskatchewan.
But you know what? This is, when I say backups, it doesn't mean it's easy. These are great football players that are looking for their opportunity, and they come from, some of them from big schools, but some of them from smaller Div 2 or Div 3 schools, but are fantastic athletes, and given the right numbers game, make this team. A lot of them will be good enough to make the team, but not make it because of the numbers.
First and 10 on the 41. Hawkins with the carry. Trying to spin off of some traffic and was hit right in the numbers.
So the leadership really all the way down Main Street to the ends. Willie Jefferson, there's Biggie on the sideline and not dressed tonight. You know, he's been working through some things in training camp too, but you know that with a guy like Adam Bighill, I'd feel safe as Adam Bighill's coach to say you don't need training camp. I'll just put you out there in week 1. I'm sure you're good to go.
That's what O'Shea told us on the call earlier. He goes, he doesn't need to play preseason games. He doesn't need to practice. He goes, although Adam would like to play, some preseason and get some practice. And Dolagala, heavy shot after he hauls it in. But they managed to hang on to it. That's Isaiah McCoy's first catch of the game, and it was Jake Kelly, 15th overall pick in the draft, who popped him.
There's your target. Yeah, and he's got, this is borderline a dangerous hit on a defenseless receiver. His arm's being held, it looked like a little bit, but doesn't look like did he lead with his helmet? No, he turned sideways and led with his shoulder.
Right to the chest. 10th play of the drive for Dolagala. Hands it off. Right up the middle. Down inside the 10. Still rumbling all the way down to the 5 for a first down and more. Thomas Bertrand, who done?
A little switch it up. Little tendency breaker. See the misdirection, and we talked about Kelly Jeffrey. I think the panel did at halftime as well. His offense looks sharp early on coming out of training camp. Timing is nice.
Bertrand Hudon, 4th round pick this past 2023 draft. Hawkins now to the left of Dolagala. He'll give it to him, tries to find some room, cutting it back, seeking for a path to the end zone. But it does not clear the way for him. And he's wrapped up short.
They're going to go with the short yardage package now, and Shea Patterson coming in. The Bombers will put a little bit more size up front in their defensive line.
Clock ticks down inside 6 minutes. Patterson in. 2nd and goal from the 2. Trying to find some room, and he's taken down just shy. Wrapped up on the play by Brett McDougall.
6th round draft pick, 53rd for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 53rd overall, and McDougall, who's a safety, steps up and holds Shea Patterson short. He's down by contact. The ball doesn't get to the goal line. Windsor Lancers product.
They get a yard out of it. 3rd and goal from the 1 for Patterson. This time pushing right up the middle, lunging in, and he's there. Touchdown Riders. Shea Patterson finishes the job that Dolagala got started.
We'll talk about tough decisions. Dolagala, after some big-time Bomber momentum, coming back with touchdown throws from Pigram, and then Dolagala with a 13-play drive, 74 yards. That capped with a touchdown, and Mason Fine put up some numbers. 9 of 13 for 86 and a touchdown, no picks. Okay, Craig Dickinson.
4 flags on the field here.
Got a decision or 2 to make.
Yeah, it must suck being a coach at this time of year. Hey, like you're excited, you're building your roster, and you're like, oh, but what about this guy? We like him. There's no room.
Yeah, we've got a couple coaches on there, former coaches on the panel right now, and I'm sure they would tell you that it is very difficult to ask a player to bring his playbook to a meeting in the next 48 hours. Players don't sleep because they're wondering if they're going to get the knock on the door or the text that says you got to see the coach.
Winnipeg, that penalty is declined. Too many men. Winnipeg, that penalty is declined. The convert is good.
You don't want that knock on the door. Bring your playbook, son.
Patterson taking care of his job in short yardage situations. Gets squad. Jamal Murray obviously doing some big things. A Canadian kid out of Kitchener. He's been automatic from deep so far here in the postseason, and most importantly, staying healthy. Lots of guys trying to get through this game healthy as this is taken away on the return near side by Matt Cole. And Cole takes it just outside the 40. Gonna get our first look tonight at 22-year-old Josh Jones when we return to Winnipeg. A beautiful Friday night in Winnipeg. The fun continues. We now get a look at Josh Jones from UNC Pembroke, just 22 years old, and getting an opportunity here at a young age in the Canadian Football League.
A little pat on the head from his teammates out there. And, you know, he may be thinking, oh, okay, well, 4 minutes and 45 seconds left. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? But in our league, you can score 3 times in that amount of time.
Here's an idea. Come back and win the game. That'll help. Jones fakes the handoff, keeps it, now throws it over. And that is into the hands of Damian Jackson, the former Navy SEAL. Fullback getting involved.
Nice. Yeah, apparently his teammates absolutely love the guy. And, yeah, you know, I'll tell you what. That's the type of guy that Michael O'Shea, you know, tough, unselfish, kind of linebacker. That guy.
Well, we were talking about as you build a team that's had so much success like the Bombers, what you know, like we always say, you mentioned earlier, the culture, everybody talks about that with the Bombers. And I asked O'Shea earlier in the week, I said, you know when a guy fits in? Like, how long does it take before you know, like, that guy's one of us?
Yeah.
And he said it's almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you almost
really
can tell right away. And everybody says they love this Jackson guy.
Yeah, it's funny because last year, talking to Coach O'Shea and some of those Zoom calls, and there would be a new guy, and I'd ask him, and I'd say, Coach, tell me about this new guy that we don't know, something that we don't know by watching him play. And Coach O'Shea will say, Glenn, he's a guy you'd love as a teammate. That's all he has to say, and I know exactly what he's talking about.
Leggio. Excellent kick here by Leggio. And the return just outside the 25 from Kendall Watson. 53-yarder for Leggio. Watson heavily involved last week in the offense, had 6 catches for 62 yards in that first preseason game. Dolagala back into the huddle. His team leads 28-16 as we creep down inside 3 minutes. 3 options out to his wide side right, takes the pass. Now takes off up the middle. Some decent blocking and actually a pretty good chunk on first down for Dolagala. That'll take us down to 2:47 on just a super warm night. It's 27 degrees at kickoff here tonight at IG Field. People are loving it. Bombers, though, trail.
How about that?
That's a Friday night football banger to get you going. Hawkins on the carry, looking for some room on the outside. Come back, got the first down. And stopped at the 40.
In case you're just joining us to see what the score of the game is, Trevor Harris started this game, the big offseason acquisition for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in free agency, and he went a very efficient 4 for 4 with some great reads. He picked up the blitz on this throw to Darrell Walker and then hit Walker, his former teammate in Edmonton, for a touchdown. He wanted to play a few more series, lobbied on the sideline. Craig Dickinson said, nope, we've seen enough. You're the guy. Get ready next week for the Elks.
I'd like to keep you happy, but rather keep you healthy, I think, heading into the but he looked good. I think Riders fans in general have to be pretty excited. I know it's just one drive in the preseason, the Bombers, but that they got everybody involved, all the new guys.
Yeah,
they couldn't ask for more.
Well, I think, you can't read too much into good or bad in the preseason. You really can't. But at the end of the day, you want to see timing, you want to see confidence. I think you saw both of that in the handful of plays that Trevor Harris played. Tough decision at number 2. I don't think has been cleared up much at this point.
No, Fine looked really good. He had some nice throws. And Dolegala's come in and hasn't done anything to hurt his case either. He moved the ball down the field.
And then you go to the other sideline and you go to Winnipeg. And I think one guy emerged. And I don't know how Michael O'Shea puts him on a practice roster or cuts him in Terrell Pickett.
I think, well, the fact that he can handle the short yardage and be a threat to do something bigger with it, I think that's got to lock him in that role to start the season. He looked, to watch him in person last week at Commonwealth, and he looked just as good then. I think if you're ever going to have a moment where you sort of sealed the job, was when he broke out of that pressure and made 4 guys miss tackles and like trucked over one of the defenders. And
yeah, like how do you cut him when he's done in back-to-back preseasons? You're only 2 you get. Done nothing but produce. Looked really good doing it, and it looked like the entire energy of the team was lifted. And that's
pretty big for a guy that would be new to the team.
Pure rookie, pure rookie in the league. Yeah.
Here's Hawkins again. Tried to wait for a hole to open. Didn't really. And it's going to be stopped about 2.5 yards shy of a first down.
So Pigram, let's just show you, give you another. Here's how it started. He gets some playing time. He makes 4 or 5 guys miss on what looked like was going to be a Saskatchewan sack. Pretty accurate in the throwing game. Shows his great athleticism and quick feet. Here's a great back shoulder throw for a touchdown. And I talked and described how when he runs the RPO type plays, how much of a threat he is to the edge. I don't know how you cut a guy like that. And we don't make the decision up here. We don't cut anybody or have anyone make the team, but exciting. It was exciting to watch number 3 tonight.
Definitely added to the buzz that he started last week. 108 yards of offense with him at the helm, and he wasn't in there very long. So this one comes up just short of a first down. JV and Hawkins was stopped just shy of a first down. So a turnover on downs, and the Bombers will take this ball back with less than 30 seconds to play. But overall, a well-played preseason game here. Yeah, not a bunch of no turnovers. I mean, turnover on downs here, but outside of that, pretty clean game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a good game includes a couple of interceptions, but we can debate that later.
Oh yeah, the defensive guys. Sorry. Yeah. I get excited to call it. Oh, there's a heavy hit. Couple of them absorbed though. Barnes bullies his way to a first down as the clock ticks down inside 20.
Remember another guy who wore 33 looked a little bit like this at times. Plays for a different team now in what is an awesome. Is it powder blue or they calling it?
Those do look good.
The new Argo jersey?
Yeah, those look really good. I could see somebody be like, it's too much, but I like it.
I think it looks sharp. And the new Lions jerseys, again.
Look, Glenn, I'll say it's a good-looking league.
LL Cool J. Opening for the BC Lions. Halftime.
Final play of the game. Here's Jones. And that's an incomplete pass to wrap it up. Riders are going to win this thing 28-16, but people came out to try to prove they belong in the league, and I think a handful of guys certainly did that today. Glenn.
Well, I think Terrell Pigram certainly did that. Trevor Harris checked all the boxes for his team. We're set to go for the regular season, and I can't wait. It'll be a great year.
Riders unbeaten in the preseason. That's going to create a buzz for a week or so. They will open up on the road next Sunday night in Edmonton. The Bombers will be back here a week from tonight with their home opener against Bo Levi Mitchell and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Pigram sensational tonight. Trevor Harris wanted to play more, but what we saw, he was perfect. And it led to the Riders come away victorious. Preseason action in the books for the Canadian Football League. Thank you very much for joining us.